we are off. So in case you hadn't guessed, today's video is about probably the most important run you'll do in the build up to your marathon. Weekly run, however you do it, it is the long run. Now, the long run not only gets you in the right place physically for the marathon, it also gets you ready to go mentally, knowing you can get through a lot of kilometers. But it's also the time when you practice all those practical things like fueling and hydration, which are hugely important for your race day as well. So for me, I am 9 weeks out from the Sydney Marathon now, and long runs are not only a good opportunity to build up the distance, I also find it's really nice to sprinkle in a few marathon pace efforts in some of your longer runs, especially if you're really going for a time goal. One way to do that can be, say, finish with a marathon pace effort, which could be last 6 kilometers of your long run, or another good one is what I'm doing today. So this is going to be quite a hard quality long run. Basically, I'm doing about 4K warm up, and then I'm basically going to do 3 5K efforts. So this will be quite tough, but it's one of those sessions, long runs, if you get through it, you know you're going to be pretty good stead for race day. Probably see you after the first 5K block during the float to touch base and see how I'm feeling. All right, first 5K done, and my pace was about 4:28 per kilometer. All right, I will see you after rep 2. The legs are definitely feeling it. I'm going to be sensible. I'm just going to reduce this last rep. Still want to try and hit that pace, but I might just do 2K instead of 5K, and then do a little bit longer warm down recovery. So I'm about to hit it. Back to the future now. So I finished that long run. I jogged it up to 25 kilometers in total, or about 15.5 miles to finish after reducing that last rep. I am posting all my runs over on Strava if you want to check them out in more detail. A few valuable takeaways to touch on from this long run, which I think will be valuable for others as well. The first one is about running to paces. When we set these very ambitious goals for our marathon times, and then we go out and find these plans based off that finish time, not where our fitness is at, which is definitely what I have done, and I am definitely guilty of that. Yes, you want to build up to get to that pace, but at the start of the block, usually you're nowhere near that marathon pace that you need to build up to. So definitely for the remainder of my long runs in this build up to Sydney, I will still be sprinkling in some marathon efforts. I'll be basing this more around my heart rate than my pace. Hopefully I can start to creep up to that goal marathon pace, ready for race day. But if I'm not quite there, I'm just not quite there. If I go out and really smash myself on this run to really keep to these target marathon paces, it really isn't going to help my overall training. I'm going to overcook myself and then struggle in the next sessions, and it's just really not going to help my training progress. So this is a pretty valuable lesson. I'm glad I was slightly sensible out on this run and did reduce that last rep and just jog out a few extra Ks to finish. But it is something that I'm still learning as I go, and I hope this is a valuable lesson for you as well. So next week I do have a 10-kilometer race, which I'm really excited for. This is going to be a really good test of where my fitness is at. See how this finish time goes. I might plug that into a few race predictors. See how my fitness is looking ready for this 3-hour marathon. I will catch you in the next video. Keep on pushing yourself sensibly. And remember, we all run better together. See you next week at the 10-kilometer race. Let's go.